Hey there, YouTube. Dave here, and we're going to be working on creating a cost policy so that way we can actually use Cowork. That's Copilot Cowork. It's something that has been released in full as of July 1st of 2026. Without a cost policy, you will not be able to run it because it does take tokens in order for you to be able to use this service. To go ahead and create a cost policy, this is where we need to go. We go into Copilot and cost management. As you can see, I do not have a policy in place. Everything is nice and clean. This is most likely what you're going to be greeted with. So we're going to go ahead and click the Get Started. So there are several ways you can actually fund your token utilization for Cowork. As you can see here, I have a very small tenant, so therefore I only currently have the pay-as-you-go subscription. There are other ways to approach this as well. If you have a certain amount of tokens that you know you're going to go through, you can buy for $200, 25,000 tokens at a given shot. So you can certainly purchase for them that way. If you have an enterprise agreement, be sure you have a clear understanding of which will be cheaper for your company. If you're buying from the sticker price, then you're going to want to go ahead and go most likely with the bundles of tokens. However, if you have a decent enterprise agreement with Microsoft, there's a high likelihood that the pay-as-you-go subscription may actually be cheaper. Work with your Microsoft representative so that you know what is best for you. In this case, we're going to go ahead and use the pay-as-you-go subscription. You can see I have only one subscription. There we go. That one subscription I created just recently, so that way I could actually take you through the process. For those of you who do not know what a subscription is, you have to create it in the Azure portal. If this is something that you want me to take you through and actually create a video and walk you through the creation of a subscription, please leave in the comments and let me know that's what you're looking for, and I'll be more than happy to do it for you. So in the next section, you can see set the monthly spending limit for this policy. I highly recommend doing this. If you don't limit monthly spending, this could be catastrophic for you and your company, because some activities that Cowork does, especially some of the heavier ends, will actually end up costing your company up to 700 plus tokens in one run. So you have to be extremely careful. For example, to give you a medium-ish load, you could say you could have Cowork actually go to different data sources and create a PowerPoint presentation. That could cost anywhere between $5 and $12 per run, depending upon how difficult the task is, how much data it's absorbing, etc. So something to keep in mind. If you have literally no floodgates in place, no guardrails, your company could absolutely get in a lot of financial crisis, a lot of trouble. So I do not recommend using that setting. So what we're going to do is we're going to limit the monthly spending for right now, just as a show. Let's go ahead and say 25,000. So instead of, I think it's 0.01 cent per token, the pay-as-you-go, think of it as about a penny per token. So with 25,000 at 1 cent a piece, that's about $250. Now to take it a step further, let's say we have 25 different employees. Well, we don't want one employee using all 25,000 tokens and leaving the others high and dry. So this next section, you can actually limit the number of tokens that each user can spend a month. If I have 20, in the case that I said, if I have 25 employees, I'll give each of them 1,000 tokens each. This bottom section, define alerts, most likely you're going to want to turn it on so you can kind of keep an eye on things. Under define alerts, you can actually see that we can select one or many users to actually get alerts defining when we're getting to a certain spend. So in this case, when we reach 90%, I want to be alerted to let me know, okay, be careful, you're running out of tokens. This is something that you probably want to keep an eye on. Maybe I'll end up having to use the 200 to buy another 25,000 tokens. Who knows? We'll have to see. Now, this WYSIWYG is very simple, very straightforward. However, you may want to do a little bit more. So let's go ahead into customize setup configuration. As you can see, there's a lot more to this than just what I showed you in the very quick wizard. So let's go ahead and rename this policy to general use of Cowork. Also, you can see here all users. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and allow all users because we have 1,000 tokens set aside for each of our users. So this is not going to be a problem. However, there's going to be situations where you're going to not have Cowork available to everyone in your organization. If that's the case, you'll most likely create Azure Active Directory security group. You would put the individuals that belong in here to be able to use that. And this is where you would use the specific groups. As you can see, it's not here as of yet, but you can even give individuals access to this as well. The next is agents and services. If we go into here, we can see that this policy is going to cover both Cowork as well as WorkIQ. One of the things that I learned from Microsoft when I had a meeting with them, they actually recommend having a policy in place singling out each of these. So what we would do is only do this. In this case, we're doing Copilot Cowork. So this is the one that we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to uncheck the WorkIQ API because we do not want this to be utilized for that. We would create a separate policy so we can ensure that tokens that are geared or designed for the WorkIQ portions would actually be assigned properly to WorkIQ. Billing method is exactly what it sounds like. Again, if you actually prepaid for tokens, let's say you spent $400 for 50,000 tokens, then that would also be an option here in this particular box. Jumping into monthly spending limit, same thing. It looks exactly like the basic wizard. All of that's in place. We've already set that up. You can actually turn off the monthly spending limit for users. It's considered optional, but again, I would highly recommend not doing that because you may have someone who enjoys trying different things, but will end up burning through all your credits very quickly if you're not careful. Therefore, make sure that you have that in place. So the user and group limits is a little bit different. As you can see, we have this additional piece here. Alert me when a user's limit reaches 70% of their defined user limit. So in this case, they got 1,000. So when they hit the 700 mark, what will end up happening is I'll get an email saying, hey, so-and-so, Birch Bark, has actually already used 700. It might be only the second day in the month. Well, that's a lot of tokens that they spend up front. What's going on? Maybe we need to have a different policy in place for power users who has a very unique business case as to why we should give them more than just 1,000 tokens. So this is going to allow you to fine tune and actually identify your power users and people who may just crank through tokens quite quickly. Once you're done, you click activate. It'll take a moment and it'll actually set up that subscription and create the spending policy. And once it's done, you're ready to go. You can actually start using Cowork. It's not very difficult to set up or to create. However, it is going to be more difficult to ensure that you keep an eye on things, to ensure you stay in a budget that you're willing to set for the utilization of Cowork and AI in this particular case. I would like to draw your attention to the center here in this green box. You can see that you've activated the default spending policy. This entire page has changed from something that says get started to now actually a true cost management solution. It's also letting you know that the very first policy you create is the default spending policy, the general one, the generic one. Now, one of the things that Microsoft told me, and something that you should keep in mind, you are most likely going to have more than one spend policy. If nothing else, you might have the general policy for everyone, but then you also might have identify out of the 25, 3 power users. Well, if you add those 3 power users to the second policy that gives them 5,000 tokens apiece, that's great. And one of the things you have to understand that a person who is in more than one policy will take the lesser of the policies. And by lesser, I don't mean how the cost. I don't mean the number of tokens. What I mean is the number of individuals that are part of that particular policy. So the fact that in this power user policy, what will end up happening is you will actually have 3 people using that, even though they're also included because of the everyone in the default policy. Okay, the next thing I want to point out, as I was talking about earlier, you can also buy prepaid credits. They are cheaper from a sticker price. Remember, if you have an EA agreement with Microsoft, the pay-as-you-go may be a cheaper solution for you specifically. For those of you who are paying sticker price, the prepaid credits may very well save you a lot of money, and this is something that you want to keep in mind. So be sure to work with your Microsoft representative and actually see if those P3 plans are something that would be of value to you and to your company. At the bottom of the page, you can see that there's a table for all your policies. So as you continue to build new policies, this table is going to continue to expand, and this will allow you to very quickly see what policies you have out there, who's going to be covered, as well as how much you're actually limiting per policy, as well as you can kind of get a feel for the overall budget of your Cowork AI utilization. Or hopefully this has helped you. Please leave a note in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful or if I missed anything. I'll be more than happy to converse with you in the comments. And thank you very much. Please leave a like and subscribe so that you can stay caught up with all the new information that I'm going to be presenting to you in the near future.